What's up, Internet Land, and welcome to another awesome episode of the Petty Cash Podcast, where this magnificent podcast represents the last of the Petty Cash. I am your host for this week's episode, Charles, and I am joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Vinny, Danny, and Joe. Hey, world.
Hello.
Hello.
Citizens of Arizona.
Vincent, a.k.a. VCG Cosplay.
Cosplay.
You
said cosplay.
I said cosplay.
You sounded muffled there.
Pause play.
Charles said before we started recording, some of his coworkers or friends were saying, hey, we love the podcast. It's the delay. That's throwing me off, but whatever. So he said, we love the podcast. We love Vincent, aka VCG Cosplay.
Really?
Yeah,
people
they actually
are knowing
did.
you
Yes.
now because of Vincent, aka VCG Cosplay, not one or the other.
Let's follow him on TikTok now.
If you like my content, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at VCG Cosplay.
It's a trap.
Shameless plug.
And then you can mark on follow after that. Just mute the notifications. No, definitely no. Definitely give it a good follow. Yeah, give him a good follow. Yeah, he has some funny stuff on there. Yeah, and some cool cosplays too. So yeah,
I make appearances every once in a while.
There's everything in there. Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. The only thing you're missing is a kitchen sink, but we'll get back to that.
Wait,
One over there.
Everything, including the kitchen sink.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, have you never heard that before?
Sorry.
And you know we're recording this, and it's a little past afternoon, and you're still waking up.
I mean, I woke up at 9:30, and I'm still barely awake.
Oh my god!
We're in our
Coffee's
30s, man. That's
before.
the way it is.
I don't drink coffee, okay?
Well, then get your sugar going, man.
I hate coffee.
We're actually looking forward to whatever lunch or dinner after this. Oh, definitely. And then fall back asleep. Food.
Gotta love
Sugar
me them black and
coffee.
shrimp tacos.
That's just you Simpsons impressions now. All right. All right, you goofballs. Let's get on to topic here. So, for this week's episode, we are going to be talking about celebrity encounters, both good, bad, funny, weird, what the fuck, whatever. Whatever
Everything
you
in
got.
between.
And everything in between. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I've got a couple. I know that you guys have quite a few of them. So I'll kick it off with a couple of small ones. You guys probably have some bigger name ones.
Yes.
But so I will start with. Actually, I'm going to start with one that's a little bit. It's a bit of a stretch, but for people that were in the community, this man was a celebrity. You probably have never heard of him unless if you were involved in the Pokemon trading card game back when Wizards of the Coast was.
I think you told me this story.
I probably did tell you about this one, but it was a man by the name of Mike Gills. And he used to go Mike Gills. Yes. Yep, that was his name. He was he went by the handle of Master Trainer Mike. So basically anybody that was in charge of anything regarding the Pokemon trading card game, they went by either Master Trainer or something like that. And so he was the guy that was kind of like the director, if you will, of the trading card game. Like he would manage the front face of it. So for tournaments, big events, and news and stuff like that, he would be the face. He was always either doing the videos or he was posting on the webpage and stuff. So people that were playing the Pokemon trading card game, they got to know him, and he basically became a celebrity.
Okay.
And it was funny because there was a story that went with it in that people was always coming up to him and saying hey dude, what's your favorite Pokemon? And he's like, oh man, there's so many I can't really pick from, and blah 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 blah. And I think there was a little bit of corporate stuff too, where he was like, you can't really pick sides or whatever, but
Charizard.
whatever. Yeah. And finally one day he just got tired of it, and he just said, what he thought of, like, what is the like weakest, like lowliest Pokemon I can think of, and he screamed Weedle.
Aw, poor
And-
Weedle.
Yep, Weedle. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, Weedle? What the heck? But it stuck. And so then whenever like somebody would come up and ask him to autograph a trading card,
It was
a Weedle card. And so he would put his glasses on it and like a little bit of hair or whatever, and then, sign it MTM, And yeah. So, but to get to the celebrity story, this was, fast forward several years, and unfortunately, Wizards had a falling out with the Pokemon Company. They couldn't come up with a financial agreement for how much one was getting over the other for continuing to produce the trading card game under Wizards of the Coast. So they were going to have one last hoorah tournament. And they were going to have it in Seattle, Washington, which is where Wizards of the Coast is. They're stationed. Their corporate headquarters is at
HQ. Based
their HQ, yes. And so one last big hoorah tournament. And by this time, I'd had several interactions with Mike, and he got to know some of his more active like community members. And because I was working on like running tournaments and things like that, and I was in communications with him, so he kind of got to know some people. And so anyway, fast forward, we go through the event. What I decided to do for this last event is I was going to work the entire event and just help where I could. And fast forward to the end of it, because what the email had been sent to us is that when you worked a shift, I think it was like a 4-hour shift. I can't remember the exact specifics, but you work a 4-hour shift, you would get a booster box as payment.
Those infamous booster boxes.
Exactly, yes. And so you would get a booster box as payment. The thing was that the email didn't state how many shifts you could work, like what was the max. And so I was under the impression that, well, if I work, all these shifts and whatever, I was thinking I was probably going to end up with like maybe 6, 7 or so boxes. But then when it came down to it, people were saying, oh, no, apparently I guess there was like a limitation on it, even though it didn't say in the email. But some people were like, oh, there's like a limit of 2, And so like I'm sitting there a bit bummed. I was like, oh, man, are you serious? I worked all that. I could have, been doing other stuff. But it's like, what, whatever. It was still good experience. And so I was like, okay. Everyone goes up there, that worked the event. They got their stuff and they left because, at the end of the event, we're closing up, and comes to me finally. And Mike's up there at the desk, and he was like, "Oh man, hey Charles, wow, you worked the whole event, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did, sir." He was like, "Huh, hold on." And he starts rummaging all throughout this desk because it was kind of like an elevated judge's booth desk.
Oh, okay.
And so he started rummaging all throughout there. And he just starts putting stuff and more stuff and more stuff on the table.
Yo.
5 booster boxes, a complete holofoil set of, it was like one of the, I think it was like Neo Genesis or one of the card sets, several pins, buttons, just other little tchotchkes and stuff. And he's like, we can't thank you enough for all the, the work, you put in. And there was one other guy, he was like, is so-and-so here? There was like another person that had worked the entire event as well. And unfortunately, he had already left. But
no, his loss.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was unfortunate. But afterwards, there was a discussion of like, hey, we do need to tidy up a little bit. At least get everything back into boxes. That way, when the crew comes through, they can just pick up the boxes and leave. And it ended up being just 3 of us that stayed to do that. Mike, a new hire that had joined on Wizards of the Coast, and myself.
Of course.
Yeah. And so we're running around, cleaning up, putting up things in the boxes and everything like that. And at the end of it, we're finishing up. We move into the lounge for where the staff could hang out, when they were like eating lunch or whatever, needed a little downtime. And in there was all of the prizes. So they had like the jackets for the winners, the high end backpacks, and a few other things in there. And Mike was saying, he was talking to the new guy, but he also included me as well. He said, both of you guys, he said, I'm really proud of you both. You did awesome. You, and he points to the new hire, and he says, you're a new hire, but you stepped up the plate, and and took charge. You took care of, the judging and several other tournaments. I'm really proud of you. And Charles, you worked the whole event. Everyone seemed to, all the events ran smoothly. That was under you, all this stuff like that. Really proud of you guys. And I was like, oh, well, thanks, Mike. And me and the other new guy, we're moving the last box kind of into position. Mike says, hey guys, heads up. And we turn around and Mike tosses us each one of the winner's backpacks.
Awesome.
Yes.
I would say I am a sucker for nerdy backpacks. I think they're so cool.
Yes. And this one was so cool because it was like this super thick material. I can't even place what kind of material it was. But it was like almost like that ripstop fabric, but it was kind of shiny a little bit. That's like the closest I can place it as. Okay. And it was the entire backpack was made out of it, except for the bottom was made out of matte ripstop, and it had Pokemon tournament on emblazoned, like embroidered onto the front of it. And he each gave us one, and we were just like, so cool. Wait, we get to keep this? And he's like, yeah. And so then afterwards, I needed a ride back to my hotel, and the new guy, he needed a ride back to the office. So Mike's like, hey, don't worry, guys, I got you. And he drove us back. I got to see the front of the Wizards HQ because he dropped off the new guy there. I got to take a picture of it. And then he dropped me off at the hotel, and he was like, hey, it was great working with you. Hope to catch you around sometime, and yeah. So shook his hand, everything. And he's long since moved on. I think he's out of Wizards of the Coast. I think he's in another company now. Last I checked a while back ago. But yeah, that was a cool celebrity encounter. For those that were in the trading card community, this guy, it was really cool. So.
That's pretty
awesome,
cool.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Very cool.
I do have another one, but I guess I'll try and see if I can shorten it because I know this one went on a little longer than I intended.
That's fine, man.
So the other one was with, you guys may have heard of this one, Orange County Choppers.
Sounds familiar.
They built bikes, like custom bikes, and they were I think it was Discovery.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah, Paul Sr., Paul Jr.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Yeah. So they came to Tempe. And there was a bike show that they came.
Yes.
Yeah. And they had it at it was Tempe Town Lake. That park that's there.
Yeah.
They basically took over the entire park. And so I was at the time I was like, super into the show and everything like that. And they said, hey, come meet, the cast of the show, and you can get something signed. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got the Black Widow bike. I got the poster. It was a full-size poster, basically like the one that's right behind you, Danny.
Right.
It's like a 24 by
27 by 40?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And I put it in a cheap plastic,
like a poster
frame,
basically.
like a poster frame, yeah. So that way they could sign it, and I could cover it up, and it'd be protected, and I could carry it around. And so I get there. Me and my parents were walking up, and who do we see standing there chatting with two other guys about bikes and stuff? Paul Jr. He's standing right there, and I was just chatting with him, and I was just like, "Oh my God, it's Paul Jr." and so I go up there, and they're just chatting, and I'm just standing there, and eventually he finishes chatting. He looks over, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I was like, "Hey sir, I wanted to ask a question. Would it be all right if I brought this in to get it signed by you guys?" And I held up the poster, and he was like, "Oh, absolutely. We would love to sign that. Yeah, just bring it in, and we'll get everyone to sign it." I was like, "Oh, that's so great." And we're standing there, and at that point, Paul Sr. and his crew come riding up on their bikes, and they come up onto the sidewalk, and they pull into the backstage area, because they open up the gates and let them in. As they're doing that, a cop rolls by, and he's like looking around, like, "What the did those guys just do?" And then he realizes who they are. It's like, oh wait, and then he drives on, but he was about ready to bust them. It was funny. So we get up to the front, and they're doing hyping up the crowd and everything, and then they see that I have this poster, and everyone, not only the people hyping it up, but also everyone around me was like, "Lift it up for the picture." So I lift it up, and they're taking pictures and everything, and so then we get in there, and as we get up to where they have the line go through to, go up to get, it was, they had them in groups. So it was Paul Sr., Paul Jr., and then later on in the day, they were going to have the rest of the crew there. And when we got up there, there was a sign that said, you can only have items that you bought at the event signed. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And so, yeah. And so I'm like, okay. So we go up to the security guard, and immediately the security guard's like, well, you can't bring that in. They'll only sign things that you buy at the store. There
Did
was
you
like
tell
a store.
them that they said that they would sign it?
Yeah.
Hold up. So... as they stop us, I immediately say exactly that. I said, I spoke with Paul Jr., and he expressly said that I could bring this in and get it signed. Well, of course, I'm sure being security, they've heard all things like this before. So they immediately exactly. So immediately they give me that look of, yeah, right. And I said, no, I am absolutely serious. If you don't believe me, they're right up there, because they weren't too far away, like maybe 50 feet, 100 feet, something like that. And I said, if you don't believe me, feel free to ask them. I will wait. And they kind of they were taken aback by it, because here I am, I'm just very firmly stating no, I'm right, they're right there, go ask them.
Yeah.
And so the guards kind of look at each other, and they kind of look back at me, and so he steps away a little bit. He pulls up his walkie-talkie and says, hey, can you connect me with there was a handler there, and so I see her lift up the mic, and she says, hey, what's going on? And then he says, there's this guy here with a poster, and said that Paul Jr. said that he could bring this in to get it signed. And she says, no, they're only supposed to be able to sign the things that are bought at the store. He's like, I know, but he said that Paul Jr. said he could bring it in. And I said, and I said it again, go ahead, just ask him, he's right there. And so I see her kind of confused, and so she leans over and she asks him. I can kind of hear it somewhat over the mic a little bit, and I hear him go. I see him go, what? And then I see him stand up and look out into the crowd, and I just kind of wave and hold the poster up a little bit. And he points excitedly. It's like, oh yeah, come on. And I see him waving me over. And so now the handler's just standing there and the guard is just, they're all just dumbfounded. And it's like, okay, go on in.
You prove them wrong.
Exactly. And so when we got up there, yeah, Paul Jr. is like, oh, yes, here it is. And Paul Sr. is like, you brought this in here? And it's like, yeah, I did, sir. And he's like, this is awesome. And so they start to sign it, and I was like, hold on, guys, hold on. I gotta take the cover off first. And he's like, oh, that's you have the protective cover on here. That's smart. And so they lift it up. They both sign it, and yeah. And then as I'm walking around, I had at least 5 people ask to buy it from me.
How much did they ask?
I think the highest offer I got was $250.
That's
not bad.
It wasn't that bad. But I was like, you know what? No, this is mine. And plus, it had a cool story to go along with it. So
No, that's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a similar story. Not mine, but my dad. He's a huge Miami Dolphins fan, and
You
of
meant
course
Dan Marino.
Dan
Dan
Marino.
Ace Ventura, come on. But yeah, go ahead.
But
Yeah.
like, of course, he loves like the perfect season, the '72 Dolphins, and there was an event in I want to say the mid to late '90s, and he brought a helmet from that era to like a signing event where some of the players from that team were signing helmet. He got like 7 of their signatures on this helmet, and as he was walking out, people were offering him like $1,000, $2,000 for this helmet. And my mom is still to this day like, "Why didn't you sell it?" Since that event, there was an event, I want to say back in 2014 or 15, where more members from the 72 team were signing the helmet. He also brought a jersey that they were signing on him as well. He probably has at least half the team on the helmet and maybe like a quarter of the team on his jersey.
Whoa.
That's damn impressive.
And he has picture proof of them all signing both the jersey and the helmet. It's so cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
a
cool.
lot of money.
Awesome.
So,
What about you, Vinny?
I have one of my favorite stories I will hold near and dear to my heart till the day I die. This is the story of when I met Stan Lee as the Thing from the Fantastic Four. So this was back in the day. I first started the Arizona Avengers. My first cosplay was the Thing for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And we were doing like a family photo op with Stan Lee. So you had a few of the Avengers.
Stanley who?
Stanley
I'm going to come across this table and eat you out.
Excelsior.
Sorry, it's too easy of a joke.
Excelsior.
Does anyone know
Yeah.
Stanley's full name? Or his last name?
Shoot. I forgot.
Stanley Lieberman. So,
Oh, yeah, Lieberman.
Oh.
That's why he named it as Stan Lee. Got it.
just, yeah.
So yeah, we were snuck around the back. We're waiting in line, and keep in mind, we went in front of everybody that paid $100 to get this signed.
Yeah, I get to cut and light suckers.
I got it for free. That's the best part. We got a team photo op for free.
Nice.
And so we're in the back way where they take the employees. I'm standing behind everybody, and I turn around and I see this little itty bitty little old guy walking with 2 huge, bodyguards. And so I turn around. I'm like, "Hey, Stan's coming." And then I turn around to him, and he's over there going, "Benjamin Grimm, how's it going?" Just the most excited I've ever seen Stanley in my entire life. And so I'm waving. I'm like, just like, "Hey, Stan, how you doing?" And so he's walking by us, and he sees all of us going, "Oh, wow, look at all of you. You look amazing." And I've never seen the man so happy in my entire life. There's a photo of us with him. He's just beaming from ear to ear. And it was a really cool photo of us way back in the day. And that being my first time, I got to not only meet him, but be in like an official costume I fully put together was just incredible. Now, the best part about this story, when I was making this costume, I found out that Stan Lee loves the Thing. It's one of his personal favorite characters. So when he was thanking everybody and saying goodbye to all of us, he's like, "Thank you, Black Widow. Thank you, Iron Man. Thank you, Captain America."
I don't want to know your real names.
Well, there was one character who dressed up as Logan, and he wouldn't give Stan Lee his real name. He was being a dick about it. He was like trying to stay in character, like, "No, I am Logan."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, the funny thing is that what makes this actually true for me is that he thanked everybody by superhero name. He gets to me, shakes my big finger, and says, "Pleasure to meet you again, Benjamin J. Grimm." He thanked my character by full fucking name, smiled at me, and shook my hand. I'm just like, "It was great to see you too, Stan." And that is just one of my favorite moments I will forever cherish. And I really need to get that picture like redone, highlighted, and just
You want like a really painted portrait of just like
yeah,
him.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the photo, I'm in the far left, and I'm in like a dark area, and it really pissed me off. But I would like to get that photo like enhanced,
Touched up and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you could have like what is that painting? Was it Michelangelo's like where the man is reaching out? To
Oh, the
God?
finger. Yeah.
Picture with me and Stan reaching out to each other.
Yeah, Stan's reaching out. Yeah.
With the little quote sign, "Hey, Excelsior! But yeah, that's probably my biggest celebrity meetup I ever got to do, and I met a lot of really fantastic celebrities. Just handshake, saying hi. The one downside celebrity meet I did was Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah, he'd be if you're not paying him, if you're just walking up just wanting to say hi and thank you for everything, he kind of becomes a little bit dismissive.
I mean, he is deaf, so I mean, it could be like hard of hearing and everything, and he does kind of give off that vibe. But I mean, if you actually I don't know, meeting him, I would just like write something and be like,
I didn't know he was deaf.
yeah, he is.
Neither did I.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of my other celebrity meetup. Holy shit! Real quick, do you guys mind if I share this?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The X-Men Origins Wolverine premiere was here at
Tempe Marketplace, yeah.
So when I was there, this was during my college years, I took a Papa John's pizza box and I drew this badass drawing of Wolverine. And I was holding up like a nerd, just out there with this picture of Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds looks at me from the entire crowd and looks at me and goes, "Dude, awesome drawing." And I'm like this. I'm looking around like, me? He looks at me just dead on like, "Yeah, you, awesome drawing." I'm just like, it was cool. Deadpool liked my
He's like,
drawing.
not you, the girl behind her flashing. Like, oh.
I still have that drawing to this day in storage among all my junk.
Probably
So
some
I need to
mold
find
on
it.
that pizza box or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
The pizza box has slowly been walking along the ground.
Like the whole of the pan just drops. The whole pie.
To the theme song. I still have that drawing to this day, and I need to post a picture of it so Ryan Reynolds sees it because I still remember that to this day. Like, hey, Ryan, do you remember this? If not,
I feel like
totally
you have to be
cool.
specific.
To be fair, that is unique, but he probably has like millions of fans going to his premieres, like with drawings of him. Maybe not of yours was of Logan, but like still just like drawings for like just to show off.
Oh, I'm sure. But it would still be cool to be like, hey, Ryan, I don't know if you remember this from that, shitty movie premiere, but that really did mean a lot to us here in Arizona. It was just the biggest hype we've ever had.
Can we get more premieres here in Arizona?
Yes, please.
Come on.
I will say that for that event, that was when all of Arizona's geekness was united in front and everything.
Yes.
So when they ever try and do, I was surprised. Like of all the, Alaska, Hawaii, but all the 48 states that pretty much got together and everything. I'm glad. You all should be glad in Arizona for like beating out all the other states just to have that premiere at Tempe Marketplace. So
Yeah, that was a great time.
I remember that, like, vote, like, different computers, vote.
Even Hugh Jackman, he bought everybody donuts that morning.
I
We were
remember
waiting.
hearing about that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I would definitely say that's probably like the best celebrity like meeting and interaction anybody's ever had in history is the fact that cast actually gave a shit about the fans.
But that movie was definitely something.
Yeah.
I like it. That's it. I like it.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds
loves
as, Wade Wilson,
You didn't have that mouth on you, Wade. You'd be the perfect soldier.
Weapon 11.
Okay, people are dead now.
We're dead now. And that's when the movie went.
Really? Like legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just call me Blub?
No,
Blob. Yeah. Oh, Kevin Durant.
That was a good call.
But, crud. Now it's up to me now. Okay, celebrity encounters. I will say this. My mom was definitely, huge, like, Catholic and all that. And she was able to teach Sunday school at St. Monica's Catholic Church. So this was, like, circa around 95 through 98, 99. So
is this in Alaska or here?
this was in Los Angeles, California.
Oh wow.
So, I got enrolled in, in class and everything. So learning sermons, prayers, all that.
I think you told me this story. This is a good story.
So they wanted like this particular Sunday for all the students to basically read a sermon. So we had this, session and everything. Had like the big red book, God, man, I don't want to say any Catholic prayers right now. But so we're all reading sermons from this mass, and how we did it was that we just read a passage and everything, and then just mark where we left off and everything. So At this place, there was this basketball court, like right behind St. Monica's Church, because it was a big, like, Catholic school and everything. And so, it was a huge gymnasium and all that. There was all the seats, everything for everybody. And so we all walk in, friends of ours. I think even like my sister or brother were reading, a passage. So for our class, there was this one kid, and he reads his sermon and all that, and blessed be you all, Jesus Christ, sign of the cross and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's my turn. Walk up stage. So let's see, 97, around 9 years old. So I get up there. The kid didn't actually mark the passage on the book, so I was reading his sermon again, and I noticed like people were kind of like, this sounds kind of familiar and all that. And then I said on the microphone, and I was just like, oh, crap. Like, I think, I read this again. So, everyone's laughing and all that. Like, okay, I have to read this one. Oh, gotcha. So everyone's laughing and all that. My mom, she kind of just shakes her head and looks and all that. And like, kind of laughing. My family, my cousin Rena and her family.
My grandfather would be the same way.
Yeah, so we're all laughing. The guy that gets to me, like, the person who I look at in front of me, because this guy was in front row, and he was with his wife. My mom actually taught this guy's kid. Funny enough, my older brother's name Christopher. So we'll get to this parent. So I will reveal this guy who was not yet the governor of California yet.
No.
So his wife, Maria Shriver, and none other than the T-800 himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was right there. Now, dude, watching Total Recall, watching Kindergarten Cop, watching the Terminators 1 and 2 at the time, and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger just right there in his little gap teeth, like just laughing, like ha 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 ha. Like I was just like, I just made the Terminator laugh. So he's all like, Mr. Kimball laughing like ha 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 ha, and I was just like, this is freaking incredible. So I'm reading this passage and all that, and so after everything was all said and done, my mom, we went back to, all the kids, we all went back to her class and everything. And so what happened was, so after we're usually done, my brothers and sister, we would go back to our mom's classroom, and the son that she taught, Christopher, was one of her students. Of course, then again, running into Arnold again. Mm-hmm. And like Chris and I, like we just kind of like looked at each other and went like, oh, like we don't want to like geek out and everything like that. So how was he? My mom, oh, he was fine and all that other stuff. And so of course, nice to meet you and all that. I had a great time. And then so like everyone have a good one. And then he just walks out of there. We're like. Next thing you know, Terminator 3, the governor of California, we're just like, oh, hell yeah, dude. He's definitely back.
You're just sitting there going, I made him laugh.
I made him laugh, dude. No, that was definitely one of the best. Yeah. But another one of the worst celebrity encounters was, oh, my God. So this was first San Diego Comic-Con 2007, and oh yeah, so Nick Frost, the guy from Paul, Shaun of the Dead, basically Simon Pegg's fat friend. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it was one of those cases of never meet your heroes and all that. But he died in Shaun of the Dead. Spoiler alert, but that's the like satisfaction I get. Like, he
karma.
Died. Yeah. But nah, it was just like we're all going around, and how you're kind of like just, there's all these celebrities and you kind of want to take pictures and you ask politely and all that. You're not kind of like shrugging their shoulders like, come on, man, or anything. My friend and I at the time were just kind of like, oh, hey, sir, is it okay if we like have a picture and all that? Just flat out in a Cockney fucking British accent. Like, no. And it was like, he got done with like a signing for the show Spaced and everything. Man, I was just like, how that kind of hurts when you're like, this guy's a dick, like it just,
yeah.
And so Edgar Wright, he was just right there. And he was like gonna go like, oh hey man, like let's take a picture with them and all that. And this Hall H like panel lady like comes up. She has like the headset, like the little gear and everything. No, we got to hit the Hall H right now and stuff like that. So they kind of got pulled away and all that. And I was like,
at least Edgar Wright was kind of cool about it.
Edgar Wright was cool, but that with like Nick Frost hurt. And so there was this quote from Rob Zombie, and he talks about like celebrities and all that, and he's even nice to the meanest of his like fan base or whoever out there, because granted, like when you see these people live and all that, they only remember that one incident, and that definitely holds true. If you make their encounters the worst one, these people will remember it for the rest of their lives. If I ever made a movie, and this would be great revenge, I would cast you in my movie, even the smallest of roles, and just kill them off.
Delivery!
And like make the big reveal at Hall H. Be like, that's why I cast you in my movie. It's like, damn. But that would just be sweet. I know that's kind of petty, but all that. But no.
Well, then you could say something along the lines of, so he'll say, so I'm not going to be back for the sequel, and you could just say, no.
No. You're accepting my money for your deaths now. You're rotten, Mr. Grinch. But yeah, no. Gotta love Hollywood. But no, like that was kind of like one of the worst encounters and all that. And so that's where kind of like the buildup of like be a little cautious, like with your celebrity encounters and all that. If
It's hard though.
It's definitely hard. Yeah. Another great one. Back in 2018. With friends, Serene, Karina at the time, and we're at Wikipedia Resort, and this is when we went to Tempe Marketplace, Dave and Buster's, just to kind of show them around in a very hot Arizona sun. Mm-hmm. So we got to the elevator, and person that opens the elevator, like the back of him definitely looks familiar. Skinny guy, like bald and all that, had like these kind of Doc Ock glasses and shit. And so opens the elevator and all that. It's like we're almost there. It's about to close. Holds the door open. So we all get in. And I'm like, as soon as he turns like face front and all that, I was like, it's Mr. England, Robert England, like Freddy Krueger and all that. And I was glad that like, one of our friends like didn't really like know who it was, but Serene, she kind of taps me on the shoulders. Is that who I think it is? I'm like, yes, that's Freddy Krueger himself. So I was like, dude, this guy gave me nightmares, literally. Entire
he
generation.
Just pulled up an elevator door for me.
Yeah, an elevator for and all that. We're all gonna go to hell, but
you just standing there.
No, and then he's just like, hey, you guys having fun and all that? Oh, yes, sir. And I'm just being like pro about it. Like, hey, Mr. England, having fun. What about you? Oh, splendid and all that. And so, hey, we'll see you at the show. Definitely see you and all that. Hey, nice to meet you all and everything. Shakes our hands and all that. So cool. Holding that containment of excitement and all that, meeting at Horde Icon. No pictures, no nothing. Again, being respectful and all that. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to, see you again soon. So, that was a great one. So, this one was actually going back to San Diego again, 2010, and I know this guy's a huge YouTube star. For anyone who's watched Cinemassacre, please Game On Expo next time. For the love of God, get James Rolfe here.
Hey, Mom, get James Rolfe.
Mom. Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, something, anything.
James Rolfe, like, he was doing stints for Spike TV. And so he's all walking around. He has, like, his mic and everything. And he has a very recognizable voice. But, like, walking by my little brother, my friend, his wife, that we just passed by. And I was like, woo, I know that guy. And so, kind of turned around like, hey, are you James Rolfe and all that? And he sounds so different in real life and all that. I'm just like, dude, I don't know what you did with your voice, but cool and everything. What were they thinking? Yeah. What were they thinking? But he was in a hurry because again he was doing interviews for Spike TV. So I was just like, oh hey man, is it cool and everything, like picture wise and all that. We talked about like a little bit of like top 5 films and all that. And he listed, I'm sure he has like another list, on his channel and all that. But that was like definitely one of the coolest encounters. I actually...
Of course, you're bringing up the picture.
Yeah.
No, not the picture or anything, but I did wrote a email to him.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually did, write back. But this was like, again, 7 years ago. And I was just like, dude, this was, definitely cool. One of the greatest encounters of my life. And so, there's plenty of more, but it's all like con stories and all that.
I'm going to have to get my mom on here. She has a lot of really cool, like, con celebrity stories.
Oh, okay. Wait, speaking of parents and all, oh man. So I just looked on my phone again, but yeah, the rock and roll marathon, kind of like the PF Chang's sponsored marathon here in Arizona. My mom and a couple of her coworkers from Prudential, they were doing, kind of like the passing water bottles and all like the little gift bags and everything for all the people running and all that. Mm-hmm. Cut to this one guy, really huge, this really big guy and all that, very athletic and all that. And apparently, like, my mom didn't recognize him. She didn't bother, like, looking up to him and all that. Like, she was like, okay, I need, like, ID, whatever. And the guy's like, oh, crap, I don't have it and all that. And so my mom was just doing her job. She's just like, then I can't really help you and all that. And so one of her friends walks up to her and she's like, Yoli. He's like, I don't think this guy needs proof of who he is and all that. So my mom, like her friend has this picture and all that because of them together, but it was actually none other than like Arizona Cardinals legend quarterback Kurt Warner. And he she looks up and she's like, oh my God, Mr. Warner, I am so sorry. And he just starts laughing and all that. It's like, don't worry. Not many people do. And again, like, this dude's like larger than life and all that. It was such a great, like, my mom would not shut up about this for a whole week and everything, and meeting this guy and all that. And so her and, like, I don't know, a couple of her friends, they all got together, like, took a picture, at this table and everything. But I was like, holy crap, my mom was with, like, Kurt Warner and all that.
Nice.
So the dude, all big smiles and everything. I wish they won that Super Bowl, but hey, right. He got him, Fitzgerald, and everything. They got us there. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely cool, man. So,
actually, as you were talking about, your parents running into celebrities, I've got one as well. It's okay. I'll go ahead and say it. So, way back when my parents were like, much younger and everything, and they were here in Arizona. They, my dad, I think I've told you guys, my dad he was an artist.
Yeah.
And so, he, drew, he had paintings, he had Kachina dolls that he made. That was his main thing. Mm-hmm. And at one point, they met, Senator Barry Goldwater.
Oh,
and
crap.
Yes.
Wow.
And he actually got to see some of my dad's artwork, and he said, as my parents have told me the story, he said, wow, I really like this. I would like to, buy some. And my dad was like, oh, absolutely. And he made some dolls, Kachina dolls, for Barry Goldwater.
Yeah.
Now, here is the kicker. So, fast forward several years, we've moved back to Arizona now, and my dad's told me the story and everything like that. And out of curiosity, I get online and I start looking, and I found this website. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was this low budget site that basically had documented the Barry Goldwater art collection. It had documented all the pieces. And as I'm going through, I'm starting to go through the Kachina doll collection, I look and I see one and I'm like, wait, that looks like my dad's style, like my dad's art style. And I click on it and I bring it up, and I'm scrolling through the pictures, and one of the pictures is of the base of it, and sure enough, there's my dad's signature
Oh, that's
on
awesome.
the bottom
Oh,
of
cool.
it.
That's
And
pretty cool.
when I saw that, I immediately called my dad over. It's like, Dad, look, and he went over and, oh my gosh, yeah, there it is. It was like, I thought I recognized your work.
That's cool.
And yeah, and one of these days I need to get around to, because they still have the Kachina doll collection. There's a museum around here that has it. I need to go there and see if I can find that doll again.
I think it's the one at ASU. Now that you're mentioning it.
Okay, but yeah, that is because they last picture I saw where they had it displayed, it was like in a glass bottom display case, so I would be able to look and see yeah, there's my dad's signature because he signed every single one and then he put like a eagle stamp on the bottom.
Yeah, that might be a ASU. Last I checked.
Yeah, so
Because I remember going to the Native American Museum art piece, and I saw a bunch of those types of dolls, so it might be there.
right, yeah, so yeah, that's definitely something I got to do at some point. But that's my parents meeting a form of celebrity, if you will. So.
Nice.
All right, so I have a lot. Let me go back to a favorite one. So this is back almost a decade ago now. We were on our family trip to Disney, and the same week we were at Disney, they were having a anniversary screening of the original Wolfman restored, and the grandson of Lon Chaney Jr. was there introducing the movie. So Wolfman is my dad's favorite Universal monster movie. So seeing it on the big screen with him, and like it's a crisp, clean looking copy. It was so cool to see on the big screen.
Nice.
After the Wolfman, there was going to be a screening of An American Werewolf in London. So before the Wolfman starts, we see walking down the aisle to their seats Rick Baker, master of makeup extraordinaire. You just see the
Shit.
long silver ponytail walking down the aisle. I'm like, it's him. It's him. This is okay. So this is 2012. So I would have been 16 when this happened. So Wolfman ends. They start like the pre-show, like the the intro guests for the movie. It's John Landis, Rick Baker, and who played David in that again?
David Naughton.
David Naughton.
Yeah.
So those three, and I think somebody else, were there to introduce the movie. And at this point, the Wolfman remake has come out, and Rick Baker worked on that. So they're talking about American Werewolf in London, and John Landis, like they mentioned the Wolfman remake. He's like, man, was that movie a fucking piece of shit? I mean, Rick Baker's makeup was cool, but that movie was awful. You see Rick Baker go.
Oh
like this.
no!
Oh my god.
So because it's like 10, 11 o'clock at this point, we were going to head back to the hotel so we can get up early to go to Disney the next day. We're walking out. We can hear the movie starting. So I think we go from the upper level down to the lobby, and we hear from behind us, "Oh, Mr. Naughton, can I get your autograph?" We all whip around. There's David Naughton signing a random fan's like whatever, and my dad's like, "Mark, do you have a pen?" Mark is my uncle, and so we walk over and say, "Hey, Mr. Can we get your autograph?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He signs our program that had Wolfman and American Werewolf in London that night.
Whoa.
And keep in mind, I think this was, if not still is, this is the same building where the Oscars are held.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's
okay.
a giant like Oscar statue in the lobby. So we get David Naughton's signature. We're going down like, oh, this is so cool. In the lobby, there's like this like small grouping of people. Like, what's going on? Rick Baker is signing autographs in the lobby, and these people must have known because we just went for the movie. We didn't know like that they were going to be here and like sign stuff. So we get down there, he signs our programs as well. My dad's wearing a Wolfman shirt. I'm wearing whatever, but I'm like, oh, sir, I love your work on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That's one of my favorite like works of yours. I was like, thank you. He looks over my dad's shirt. He's like, oh, I love your shirt. He's like, oh, thank you. I love your work on the Werewolf TV series. He looks up at my dad. He's like, You know about that? For those that don't know, Werewolf was like a short, like one season TV series in like the late 80s, early 90s. It's a really cool show. I thankfully have the pilot for it, but it's really cool. And Rick Baker did the makeup work on the TV series. So
interesting.
And thankfully, we got a picture with him that night. It was my header on Facebook at the time. It's so cool. Like me standing there, Rick Baker in between me and my dad. It was so cool. So now moving from one horror icon to another. This was, I want to say 2016 or 2017. We went to Changing Hands bookstore for this. I think you know what the.
I know this one.
We went to the bookstore, and there was this new children's book that was coming out, and like we kind of cared about the children's book, but we mainly cared about who wrote it.
It's like that's neat, but we want to see who get to it.
The author of this children's book was none other than the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh.
So they had to make it a point. She would mainly only sign stuff relating to the book. You couldn't really get like Halloween stuff signed or whatever. That's fine.
Okay.
So I still have the book. It's in my room. So she signs the book and she puts her hands around me and my dad. I put my hand around her. That was another.
You're like
lower. She was so cool. Like watching her talk and like talk about like the process of making the book and like how her children inspired her to make this book. It was just so cool.
I would love to meet
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
that's one celebrity I would love to meet.
Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Laurie Strode herself.
And now she's going to be a Madame Leota in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, the Haunted Mansion
that's right.
reboot.
Yeah.
That should be really interesting.
No, that's right. She is Madame Leota.
Yeah.
My bad.
Another cool celebrity encounter I had. This was 2014, the first time I worked Phoenix Fan Fusion. Mm-hmm. And my manager at the time, I was shadowing him, basically assisting him, walking the floor, like, okay, everything seems cool down here. Hey, let's go up to Stan Lee's panel and make sure everything's okay. So we take the elevator up, elevator doors open, in walks Stan Lee himself. Because his panel just got finished, so then we take the elevator down with him, and I'm just trying to keep my cool at this point. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm in the elevator with Stan Lee, and somebody had like this Buzz Lightyear phone case they were trying to show him. They was like, oh, that's really cool. So
Vinny?
No, it wasn't Vinny. So we get back down to the main convention floor. He walks out. I wait till he's like far enough away. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was Stan Lee.
And you didn't say hi to the man?
Okay. I was working. I was trying to stay professional. I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to engage into a conversation with the man. But still just I rode an elevator with Stan Lee.
It would have been really funny if Stan Lee had leaned back around and been like, Excelsior!
I mean, Stanley is, dude, like the Walt Disney of the Marvel comics industry. I mean, dude, that man, what you see in interviews and documentaries, all that stuff, all those tidbits, his soapboxes, that's all him, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Half Price bookstore, they had soapboxes, because for those of you that don't know, Stanley's soapboxes were basically all the little passages, like little letters that he would write to the fans at the end of each of his comic book runs and all that. And some of them dealt with real world issues and kind of lessons. Last night we were really kind of poking at Mr. Rogers and everything, but that's what he would have on his soapboxes. So we were talking. You're talking about horror icons. This man, I have to add something to that. With Dobson High School, he was having a book signing, and I was like, okay, I need to meet this guy for a second time, because the first one was just kind of running into him at the con, but I couldn't really do anything because working and all that. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, going to his book signing, for this guy, Hail to the king, baby. Hail to the chin. Bruce Campbell.
My mom went to the same signing, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was wondering why your face was turning red there for a second.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I should have watched the movie, but yeah, no. So going up to him and everything, he plays Ash in the Evil Dead trilogy. I mean, in Ash vs. Evil Dead, and he talks about like his tenure as, Ash, but also what it was like to be a B movie actor. And all his books, like Confessions of a B movie actor, Hail to the Chin, and If Chins Could Kill. There was like moments in Hollywood where they were telling me, you're not going to go anywhere. Your career's going to fucking die and all that. And he was actually, went to his car. He talks about it in like one of the passage of his books, where it's like he went inside his car and he like literally cried because, people would only like, who would want to hire you or anything like that. Wow. So thanks, Sam Raimi. He had the signing and everything, got up to him and shook his hand. I mean, it's kind of weird because they're like, shaking his right hand. You're like, where's the chainsaw? Where's the medieval gauntlet and everything? But, dude's always like dressed like really, really snazzy. And if you guys haven't seen Burn Notice with him as Sam Axe, dude, definitely watch that. Okay. I gave him like, okay, sir, what's your name and all that. And so I said, oh, what's your full name? Joseph King Lalogan, the second and all that. And he just went like, looked at me and he was just like, your middle name is King? And I was just like, yeah. He's just like, well, from one king to another. Shake hands.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then like we just pointed at each other. It was like a hard like, like, hey, awesome, man. Hey, nice to meet you and all that. All right. Badass, dude. Like, literally a badass. He does look intimidating. He's like, again, like one of those like, oh, man, please don't make fun of me or, whatever or something. Like,
he just has
don't be a dick. Yeah, he had eyebrows and shit like that. But, dude, yeah, he has a very recognizable Hollywood chin. Oh, yeah. If you're just down to earth real and not be like, nerdy or like, be one of those obnoxious guy, here's my script, sir. Can you read it? The dude, those are fun. But ouch. He was awesome. For those who haven't meet him, hopefully he does like signings again and all that. Yeah, definitely meet the guy. He's worth it.
I would love to meet him.
I have two last ones before we wrap up today. So I think this was the same year, 2015. So again, I was working Phoenix Fan Fusion, and I had some time in between shifts. So that year, we had two guests I was very excited to meet, Carl Urban and Jason Momoa.
Oh.
So I go up to meet Carl Urban, and this is just off 2013 Star Trek Into Darkness. And I still kind of am. I love Star Trek. So going up to meet the new Bones, like, oh, dude, you're so cool. And at the time, they released these, I think the company was called Creo, like knockoff Lego sets for the movie. And they made little figures of the characters. They had this Bones with like a tricorder. But his face, it was like smiling / like worried. I'm like, that doesn't look like you. So I bring up my Star Trek tricorder. I have him sign that. And like, oh yeah, so this is you, like a little like Lego figure of you. But like, I think they got your face wrong. Bones wouldn't look like this in the movies. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Here, let me sign that for you. Okay, I only paid for the tricorder. He signed the little Bones figure for free. So I'm like, thank you, sir, so much. And then later that convention, I get a photo op with Jason Momoa. And I'm like one of the first like 10 people to get a photo op with him. So this is 2014, cool. Right before we see the small cameo of him in Batman v Superman. Like, oh, you're the new Aquaman. So...
He's called Drago, man. Come on.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones at the time. Like, I knew he was that character, but I was like, okay, you Khal Drogo, but Aquaman. And he also did this small horror movie, Wolves, which is kind of like it was like a directed video, like werewolf movie, which he was really cool in it. But I get up there. dude is massive. He's so tall. So like he puts my arm around me. We do like he does like the mahalo like hand gesture.
Yeah.
I do like the thumbs up.
hang
Like
loose,
thank you sir so much. Like you're welcome, buddy. I can't wait to see you as Aquaman. And then I go off. My dad. Thank you, Dad, for this again. He goes off and gets my photo op signed, and he loved wolves too. So he brings out my picture. He's like, "So, how long were you in the makeup for that movie?" He was like, "Oh, 4 hours." I was like, "Dang, that's so cool." But yeah, my mom has other stories that involve Jason Momoa that year, but. That's for her to tell, hopefully, in a future episode.
She
But
grabbed his ass.
she has so many stories because she worked the convention longer than I have, and she worked with like she was assistants with celebrities over the years, and but yeah, all right, Jason Momoa, Carl Urban, so cool.
So real quick, aside celebrity me, I really had a lot of fun time with. I was a kid back then. He opened up his very first restaurant called Gonzo's Place in Chandler, Arizona. And we got to meet and shake hands with Luis Gonzalez of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
yeah.
badass, dude.
He was really cool, really nice. And when he found out that my family was Gonzalez too, he's like, "Oh my God, no kidding, family, eh?" really nice, really awesome dude. I still have his bobblehead from the 2001 World Series.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps up this episode. Thank you all very much for tuning in and listening to us ramble on about our stories of various celebrity encounters. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and spread the word of the Petty Cash Podcast. I'm Charles.
Vinny, aka VCG Cosplay.
This is Danny.
And this is Joe here.
And remember, slow down, chew your food.